We have done it. We have refined the process of doing non-foil proxies. The new proxies are just as thin as the regular MTG cards and just as rigid, and most importantly, it can be double-faced. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make these beautiful proxies. At the end, I'm going to show you how much money we can save by printing the most expensive cards from the Final Fantasy set. All the tools and materials are down in the description below. And this video is sponsored by CryCry Secret Lair. My name is CryCry. I teach people how to play like a collector without paying like one. Step number 1. Making a printable PDF. The websites being used today: Scryfall, MPC Project, Proxy Print Setup. Let's use the Final Fantasy set as an example. There's a lot of double-sided cards. Let's see how much money we can save by printing the most expensive cards from this set. Go to MPC Autofill, press Add Cards, Text, and have this window ready to go. Alright, let's use this card as an example. We're gonna copy the name of the front, and we're gonna copy the name of the back side of the card, pasting here as well. I'm going to do that for the first 8 cards, and I'll explain to you after why 8 cards specifically. Isn't that crazy that I've never played a Final Fantasy game? I can't be the only one. Once we import all the names, we just want to press submit. Before we move on, I want to show you my search settings. Feel free to copy my search settings. Alright, moving on to my favorite parts, selecting the card images we want to print. Also, here's the thing, you can mismatch the back if you want to. I just have OCD, I want them to match. Once all the images are ready to go, we're going to select the fronts only, and then we're going to download 8 front images first. Once we have all 8 front images downloaded, we want to put them into a folder and then name the folder front. And then proceed to download all the back images and also put them into a folder. Rename back. Go to Proxy Print Setup, select Add Images. We're gonna do the front first, so select all the front images, press open. As you can see, we actually moved away from the 3x3 9 image per sheet to 4x2 8 image per sheet. And I'll demonstrate to you why we did this when we print. Now, in order to get the 4x2 format, all you need to do is to change the page width to 11 and page height to 8.5. In simple words, copy all the settings I have on screen. Now our front is ready to go. All I need to do is to press save. After rendering, we want to put our PDF into the front folder, so we keep everything nicely organized. Now to get our PDF ready to print, let's check the print settings. The settings might look slightly different depending on the type of printer you're using, but you just need to remember you want the highest quality and the correct size. Select the printer that you're using, printing color of course, the paper size, make sure you use the correct size. In this case, we're using US letter. Under preview, your scale should be 100% if you follow the previous step. If it's not, then revisit the previous step. Make sure you have all the settings dialed correctly for Proxy Print Setup. For this specific printer, the Epson ED2980, the media type should be photo. Quality is the best. And now we have our PDF ready to be printed. Alright, now this is going to be the paper we're going to be using moving forward. 54-pound double-sided glossy photo paper. And my recommendation is you print single-sided card with these type of paper as well. They combine with our laminating sheets beautifully to create the thickness and the rigidity we want. Now load up your paper to your printer. Now for the Epson printer, I have already selected the correct paper size and the paper type. The next step that we need to do is to press print. Now, allow me to explain to you why we changed from 3x3 to 4x2. After repeated testing, I realized every time I print 3x3, the Epson printer that I have specifically always has trouble printing the bottom end, meaning all the images come out blurry for the bottom portion right here. And I have done cleaning, I have done printer head cleaning, I've done all the troubleshooting to align printer head, yet still this issue remains. So I thought I'd try a different layout. Another reason is 4x2 is actually easier to trim if you just started making proxies. But if any of you know the reason why my printer does this, let me know. Alright, with our front images printout, this next step is crucial. And if you're making single-sided card, the next step you will go into is laminating. Let's go back to our back folder, look at all the back images. What we're gonna do is we're gonna rename, we organize the backside to match the front. Now this next part, I need you to follow my steps closely. I'm gonna try to explain this as clearly as I'm able. If you put your sheet up in the correct orientation which your printer prints, your front image should be upside down. Now if you put up to a light source, to start with the most bottom right, we're gonna name it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So I'm gonna name the backside of Joshua A, backside of Emmett B, Clive C. So once you're named all of your cards, go back to Proxy Print and Setup, press Add Images, all the back images with new names, press Open. You should have a sheet that reflects the order that we just changed. The reason why we need to rename the images is because Proxy Print Setup imports images based on their alphabetical order. You cannot physically change the position of a card, which I think it will be a very nice feature to add for Proxy Print Setup. And Alex, my guy, if you're watching this, please add that feature. It'll be life-changing. Thanks to you in advance. Now, once we import all the images we want to save, and our job is not finished quite yet. One last step we need to do before we print to the backside. Now, once we have the PDF open, come up to the toolbar on the top, rotate left. We want to rotate left twice so that our image is in this orientation. But hopefully there is an easy way to rotate these PDFs. Now, once we have our PDF rotated, we can print on the backside of the front sheet. All right, we're gonna move into step number 2, laminating. Our trusty little laminator here, and we want to preheat the laminator with the formula setting. For the finish today, I'm going to use the glossy laminating sheet. You also have the option to use matte laminating sheet if you like. And here is a closer look comparing the two. The texture obviously is very different. If you're using the matte finish laminating pouch, you might need to run your card through the laminator one more time after you finish cutting it to seal off the edges. Now to load our sheet into our laminating pouch, and I never skip this step to make sure I don't have any dust trapped inside of the laminate. Once your laminator beeps, we're gonna send the sheet in from one side and catch it out from the other side. And that gives us a beautifully laminated sheet of cards. Step number 3, let's trim these. You know, the more I use these rotary trimmers, the more I fell in love with them, just because the process can be very therapeutic. The slight crunch when the blade runs through your sheet. So again, with this 4x2 layout, it should give you more clearance if you're cutting for the first couple of times. So I'm gonna trim the long side first, but if you are just trimming for the first time, I recommend you to trim the short side first. It's easier to get a straight line this way. But once you're comfortable with trimming, you can do the long side first, like so. And it's gonna take you time to practice. You're not gonna cut perfect the first time. It took me some time as well. So don't feel bad if you can't cut a straight line. I lean in to cut this way so I get a better handle of the sheet and position. I know that we all want perfection, but we're not machines, so don't be too hard on yourself. All that matters is you do better next time. Learn from your mistake. Now we're gonna finish off with this corner rounder, and then we're gonna use the small size right here. We feed our card. I cut it twice so the edge comes out clean. And there we have a double-sided proxy. All right, this is a very good demonstration. It seems like adhesive is not completely melted. When this happens, I will run this card back into the laminator. This is what it looks like after I ran it again. And then we're gonna compare these against the regular cards. Here I have 3 MTG regular cards. First, let's check the weight of a single double-sided proxy that we just made. .075 ounces. Now one single MTG regular card. 0.060 ounces. Let's see thickness. It is 0.3. Now one single MTG card. 0.3 mil. 3 proxies. It's 1.1 mil. 3 MTG cards. 0.9 mil. That means our proxy is just a little bit thicker than the regular MTG card, but they feel great. Now, rigidity, regular MTG card. .3, 6.4. Now with the proxy, 6.2. Now with the sleeve test, unfortunately my fitted sleeves are not here yet, so I can't do a fitted sleeve test. We're just gonna use these regular sleeve. This is as similar as we can get. You know what? It feels so, it's peak. Now I do have one note for people who are striving for perfection. A note for me, for my future self. There is one more step that we can perfect this method. That is using 2 mil laminating pouches instead of 3. The only reason why I didn't demonstrate 2 mils is because there isn't a matte finished 2 mil laminating pouch out there. There is, however, a glossy version of 2 mil laminating sheet that would essentially perfect the thickness. Now, right now, the thickness and the rigidity is 95% perfected. If you don't mind or you don't have a problem with using the glossy finish, then you should get the 2 mil lamination, because that will perfect the thickness and that will bring the number up to 98%. And I already know some of y'all are asking, what about foil? What about the foil version? And the answer is yes. There is a refined process for doing foil that requires a little bit more different materials than this one, which yields really good result. When I say that, I mean the thickness and rigidity, the playability of the proxies. I have a friend on TikTok, just so happened he's the one who uses that specific method. I'm gonna invite him to our secret layer, do a workshop with everybody, and everybody in our secret layer will get early access to the method and start making foil proxies. If you don't wanna miss that, join our secret layer. As promised, let's do some math. Math is not going to be spot on because I don't know how many sheets this printer can print yet. Now, Epson promised with this printer you can print 6,500 color documents with the ink that came with this. So we're just going to use that number right there. The price of the printer divided by 6,500 equals. Now this is the price roughly per sheet. We want to time 2 because we're printing double-sided, right? And then we want to divide it by 8 because we're printing 8 cards per sheet. So that's the price per card. We're going to add the price of the printer paper, $29 per 200 sheet for our photo paper, plus $17 200 sheet for our laminating pouches. So that gives us, now that's roughly 20 cents per card. We have 8 cards, so times 8, that is about $2. Now let's look at the card from Scryfall. For this specific card art, $78 plus 17 plus 10 plus 32 plus 12 plus 32 plus 2 and plus 1. That is $184.